I shared this confetti animation on X a few days ago, and a lot of people asked how it works in Rive. So today we are going to rebuild it from scratch. Hey, what's up? It's Timmy. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to build a Confetti success animation system in Rive step by step. The goal isn't just making confetti, it's structuring it so it stays clean, reusable, and easy to control in a real product. Confetti usually appears when something good happens inside a product. Examples: RSVP confirmed, level completed, purchase success, and so on and so forth. Instead of thinking of it as just confetti, think of it as a success animation system. Let's start from a completely empty file. We'll build three things today, which are a particle component, a confetti system that controls everything, and a trigger that starts the celebration. So I'm going to create an artboard, and instead of building confetti directly in the main screen, I'm going to create particles at its own artboards. Think of it like a reusable component. So I'm going to call this artboard the main screen, something like that. So now I'm going to create another artboard. Yeah, I'm going to call this artboard confetti rectangle, and I'm going to create rectangle. I make it rectangle limited this, and let's create the animation. For that, let's bind. I'm going to create here. I'm going to create a color property. So I'm going to call this color, just to keep it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and select this and bind color to it. So it's fine. So now if I play, it's changed to black, which means we can customize our rectangle color right here, which we are going to see how we are going to make use of that later on. So let's continue. Now let's animate this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to animate this middle group, and I'm going to animate the scale and also the rotation, and also the blend percentage. So I'm going to just mess with this, like this, and just copy, and let me mess with this also. Yeah. So you have something like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the in-between. So I'm just going to mess with it with our scale as well. So I'm just going to mess with the scale, okay, like this. Right here, just let's do something like this. So we have something like this. So just going to copy this and put it here. So we have something like this. What I'm going to do is I can add calculation to it. So let's make it more like it looks rough right now. So let's add rotation to it so it looks somehow cool as well. So I'm going to change it this way right there. So let's just go with this. You can actually make it better later. So that looks. What I did now is I've created our confetti rectangle. So I'm going to do the same for others. So I'm going to create another artboard. I'm going to call this confetti triangle. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make this component. So I'm going to create another view model, and I'm going to call this rectangle view model. Or rather, let's use confetti rectangle view model. Triangle view. Just going to create color. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select this and bind the triangle confetti view model to it, and just animate. Just maybe the animation, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did the other time. I'm going to group this, and I'm going to bind the property color to it and rename it to color. And let's animate this group. So I'm going to select the group, animate the scale and the rotation. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did the other time. Right here, I'm just going to mess with this. I'm just going to copy this one, paste it. So I'm just going to fill the in between. Right here, I'm just going to see, just playing around there actually. So just want to see. So you can just copy this two in between. This there. Just going to have something like this. Nothing fancy, but just to have that and picture what I'm trying to change. So I'm just going to change this to something like that. This. I still come here. Use this. Right here. Just going to I think that's too much. So I'm just going to I think this is better. So I think this is better. I'll go with this. So you guys can just play around it and just make it. I'm just playing around this stuff. So now we have our animation. Let's say we have our animation. So I'm going to let's see. Can manipulate the color. Yes, I think so. So we can change the color here. So this gives us the access to customize the color. I'm going to continue and do the same for others. I'm going to fast forward this this part, but the way I did this, so that's where I'm going to do the rest. So you can just follow along. So this time I'm going to use stroke. Let's create an dashboard. To activate my pen tool and just play around. Something like this. I'm going to use stroke. Let's give it maybe 4. Change it to this, and I'm going to use path. I'm going to use trim effect, so we can add and you can offset as well. So we can use this in the animation phase actually. So you guys can see how we are going to use that. Let's put it here. So I'm going to make this component, change this to create a certain model and call this Confetti stroke view model. Try to create a model. And yeah, I'm going to find this. Now let's animate this. So actually, we don't even need to group it because we are using the trim path animation. So going to be in this. Right here, going to start. Let's start. I'm going to offset it. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is when it starts, maybe right here we can actually make this we can go with that. Let's just go with that. So that's done. That's for that. I'm going to find the color panel straight to this. So I have some lines. I make it black. So let's add one more. Let's add one more stroke. Let's add one more stroke. So just playing around. Actually, you can add as much as you want since you are making this a component, so you can use them anyhow you want or anyhow you want to. I'm just going to play around this actually. So I'm just going to make this look like this. So let's just go with this. Take this out. Stroke. Let's use like 4. Or let's make it 6. I'm going to use this and this. Activate trim effect. So you can have something like this. And offset this way. Yeah. So let's see what we can do with that. So now that we have our confetti component, our particle component rather, so now we move to we are going to use the main screen to combine everything together. Uh, then I'll show you guys. Then we can use instances to create different customization, and we can have different colors of our components. So before that, let me create instances for our components. So I'm going to come back to our data binding options, and I'm going to create. So for our first, let's start from this. So I'm going to create more instances. So I'm going to click here and click on this plus button. Instance. So we can have instance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just have 6. So we can use this 6. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to change their colors. I'm going to manipulate the colors. I can just change this to yellow and change this one to maybe red. Something this and come here and change this one to maybe just any color you want actually. So let's do that. So now if I play this, you guys will see it's carrying the instance color. If I come to, this is what we get. If I change this, you guys can see it's changed the color to red. If I change this, I think I did not change that. If I change this, change to blue. If I change this, change to. So now we have different instances that we can use in our main dashboard. So I'm going to select this and so I'm going to do the same for other ones. So you guys should follow along. So now I believe everything have instances. And let's check. Forget to add instances to everyone. So now our component has instances. So right now we can nest them into our main dashboard, and we can make it a confetti of any kind we want. So I'm going to press by N key to nest our confetti, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this circle confetti into, maybe because of time, I'm going to duplicate it into 3, but you can duplicate it as much as you want. So I'm going to duplicate each of our components into 3, so you can use different colors for application. So I'm going to duplicate this 3. let's have these three. And what I'm going to do is, in this 3 confetti, I'm going to create a view model for our main screen. I'm going to create a view model. I'm going to call it main screen view model. So this view model, I'm going to bind it to our main screen. I'm going to bind it to our main screen, and so I'm going to come back here and right there, I'm going to bind our all our components view model into the main screen view model. So we are going to be doing this step by step, so you guys don't feel overwhelmed. So let's start with the circle view model, because I think I brought in the circle first. So let's start with the circle view model. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to come here and I'm going to duplicate our circle view model into 3 inside our main screen view model. Sorry guys. So I'm going to duplicate this 1, 3. So I'm going to bind each of our duplicated view model inside our main duplicated circle view model. I'm going to bind them into our components. So you guys can see here we have property of Confetti circle view model. I'm going to bind that, bind this to this one, and bind this to this as well. So let me change this. The next thing is change their instances. So now I'm going to allow this to carry the instance of the first instance. So I'm going to use instance 1 here, and I can use instance 2 right here. So now if I play, you guys can see it's supposed to change colors. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, this was not bind to the so that's why it's not working, because I forgot to find it. So now it should probably work. So now you guys can see they have their own different colors. That's power of instances using data binding. We are going to move on. So I'm going to do the same for others. So I'm going to press my N key and bring in the rectangle, Confetti rectangle, duplicate it to 3. Let's duplicate it to 3 and do the same here. I'm going to bring in the rectangle view model, and I'm going to duplicate it too. I'm going to put it inside our main screen view model. I'm going to duplicate it to 3 for this so come back here, and I'm just going to bind those properties rectangle model 1, rectangle 2, rectangle 3. So for it to keep it organized, I'm going to group them. I'm going to group these circles and just call it circle pattern. And I'm going to do the same for this. I'm going to call it rectangle practical. And I believe if I play now, okay, so I need to do the same here. Change the distance. I'm going to change the distance of this to 1. Okay, now you guys can see they have different colors. So we are going to do the same for the other ones as well. I hope it's clearer the way I'm doing it. So I'm going to come here. So now we have every particles in our main export. So if I play now, each and every one has its own color. But let me adjust the rectangle. Rectangle is the triangle. I mean. So now we have everything has their own colors. Yeah, we are going to animate them. So yeah, we are going to go. So I'm just going to center everything. Just have them in the center. I'm going to everything center. Yeah. So I'm going to call this let's call it celebrate, or yeah, let's call this celebrate. And just say celebrate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose each one, and we can actually do the same thing that we did for the particles, just to give them, just to keep it neat. So I just like animating with group, not the main track. So I'm just going to tamper with the groups. So before that, let's just do that. I'm just going to group everything. So now let's animate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, let's start from this. I'm going to select this. I'm going to animate the positioning, and actually we can manipulate the rotation and scale as well. But let's see. So I'd like to start with the position. So yeah, I'm going to maybe take this up. Let's have it up here. Yeah. It's going to be like, it's going to be like, yeah. So I think that is up there is enough. And maybe we can actually mess with the rotation. Let's just have some like, yeah, I think that's okay. We can also mess with the scale, but I think the animation has done most of what we can use with the scale. So let's just take out the scale and let's just use that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to animate the blend. Zero, and when it's there, I'm going to take it back. When it's there, in the just take it and let's see. So what I'm trying to do is I want it to appear and disappear, appear and disappear, appear and disappear. So let's do the same for other ones. So and that's that. I'm going to do the same with this. I'm going to manipulate the rotation. Let's come to the last edge. Let's make it come this way. And actually, it's going to be like, so that's better. So I'm going to do the same thing for the rotation. Let's rotate it. The rotation. Yeah. So I'm going to do the same for here, the blend. I'm going to do it to 0% and 100% at 10 frame. And when it's at 50 frame, I'm going to keep the 100% and it is 0% at the last frame. So we have something like this. Okay, so it's I guess it's making sense now. So before we continue, there's something we're supposed to do. So if I choose the confetti rectangle, so if you come here to our state machine, we are going to take out doesn't matter actually. So we can remap, we can take out the state machine and just I think we should do that. or the main thing that I want to do is uh, manipulate the speed. So if I give this maybe 2, its speed is more faster. So we are going to do the same for I'm going to do the same for this. I'm going to increase this maybe to 3. Something like that. I think that's better. So you can actually customize the speed. So that's the beauty of using components. So your instances or your instances, they have different kind of they have the same animations but different speeds. So it makes everything stand unique or stands on their own style exactly. So let's continue. So we have something like this. We can go with that and let's do the same for this last one. So I'm going to select that, manipulate the position and rotation. So I'm going to come to the last edge, drag this to down, somewhere here, and I'm going to do the same for this. And I'm going to here like this. So we are going to have something like that. So I'm going to leave this on to 1. Yeah, I'm going to leave it to 1 and just keep in case this one to we have something like that. Let's move on. We are done with triangle particles. So I'm going to do the same thing to other one, so you guys can just follow along. So with particles, I think this is where we are going to need remap. So we are going to need remap on this our stroke particle. So I'm going to add this and use remap. In this 100. So we are going to have something like that. Exactly. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to do the same for the other ones. I'm going to use remap as well for our stroke. So now we have everything animated, and I think we can go with this. Yeah, I can go with this. So I'm going to duplicate this our celebrate and create an I do. I'm going to call this I do, and what I'm just going to do is I'm going to take out all these keys and leave the first key, because the first key is also the last key. So I'm going to leave the first key, so that will stand as our key, and I'm going to make it just 1 second. So if I'll come here and we're going to set things up. I'm going to bring in the celebration. I'm going to bring in the celebration, change this to I do, and connect this to the celebration and connect it back. So for this to happen, I'll need a trigger inside our main screen view model. So I'm going to create a trigger. I'm just going to call it celebrate trigger. So I'm going to use that for our condition. So I'm going to say if celebrate is triggered, our confetti should play, and once it's done playing, the exit time should be, once it plays 100%, it should go back to the I do. So this way we can trigger it whenever an action is meant to happen in a real product. Maybe your purchase is successful, so that is when it is going to trigger and it's going to go back to the I do. So let's say if it works, voila. So now our confetti is working, and that is our confetti animation. And the beautiful thing is you can reuse this confetti animation anyhow you want it to be. Maybe you want it to come out from edges, or you want it to display at the bottom. Anyhow you want it to be. It's just left for you to make another timeline or another artboard and just create your confetti system. So voila, that is it for that. I hope you guys gain one or two. The key idea isn't just the confetti itself, it's the structure, like the components, reusability, state view model for customization, instances for variations, and logic for the controls. Also, quick notes: I've been thinking of putting a small beginner cohort for people learning Rive, so we can build and animate something. Build something interactive like this together, step by step. But if that sounds interesting to you, let me know in the comments. If you are learning Rive, please subscribe, because this series focuses on interactions that works on product just like this. So I'll see you next time, guys.